Hey all, welcome back to the channel. This is Adrian. How are you doing? I am doing fantastic, in case you're wondering. And also, if you're wondering, yes, my hair's longer. No, I'm not cutting it. It's just the way that's going to be. But today, we're going to be talking about It Works Part 2. If you haven't checked out my first video about it, the link is above. And what I'm wanting to do with this video is I have an awesome story, an awesome testimony for this list. And I'm really excited about it because it really it freaked me out. And it's strange. It truly is strange. But we're going to be getting to that in a bit. What we're going to do first is we're going to go over the process of the list. Now, what the list is based off of, it is based off a little red book called It Works, the famous little red book that makes your dreams come true, by R.H.J. Here are my lists. Several refined lists, not all of them faced. That doesn't matter. My current list is sitting by my bedside table. But for the most part, these lists have all been about the same. It's been quite the process. Now I'm going to just review a little bit about what the list is, the process of the list. Very simple process. For the most part, it's 3 to 4 steps. Now, the first thing you need to do is to plan and write down in the order of importance to you. And these things of importance are what you truly want. Don't hold back. Don't be worried about what other people are going to think. These are things that you truly desire. It's a little more than wishing. You truly need to desire these things. Wanting doesn't quite do it. Wanting implies to your subconscious mind that you don't have it. But when you desire it, and you keep your mind open, really helps you, mysterious ways that helps you obtain these things. Step 1, after you have this unfettered, held back, unrestrained list, is to read it daily. Read it daily, morning, noon, and night. What I do, I write down my list every night, as you see from this stack of note cards. Here's my other stack of note cards of blank future lists right here. Blank lists, completed lists. Read it morning, noon, and night. Like I said, I do my list every night just to keep those in mind. Number 2, think about it as often as possible. So when you go through your day, you should be really thinking about this list. As I said in the first video, really think about this list in between times of reading your list. So you really keep these in mind. And like I said, these are things you truly desire. And 3, don't talk about your list. Now, what I've done, obviously, I've shared that I do the list, but what I have, failed to share is the things on my particular list. They're not things I talk about. I tell people that I have things on my list, but I don't tell people what's on the list. And so you keep these private because it's your list, not anyone else's list. Don't hold back. And don't hold back on these truths. Don't put I want $1 billion. Sure, you could put that if you want. But it's your list, so you can do whatever you want with it. Don't worry about how exactly these things will come about, because that's not for you to worry about. If you're worried about how this list or how these things on your list will come about, it kind of narrows your mind. So if you're like, well, for sure I'm going to get this thing or this amount of money by XYZ, then you're kind of refining your mind. You're really narrow-minded. Your blinders are on. But if you keep an open mind and you don't worry about how, I think that lets the universe come into focus, and it keeps your mind open to a realm of possibilities. One more thing before I get to my story about the list. The thing on the top of my list. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. It came about. They note in the book, and I didn't say it in the first video, but it's possible to get something on your list that may cause you unhappiness. It may cause you anguish. It might not be great for you that you got this certain thing. I thought this was a very interesting point that the book made, and I thought it was very interesting. Like I said, that you could get something on your list that won't truly make you happy. I know making you happy is kind of make a whole nother video about that, but just be careful about the things on your list. That's why it's important to refine your list as things come about on your list, and keep note of that. Don't doubt the process. Yeah, it's easy to sit around and be like, yeah, probably not, probably not. But if you have that doubt, you're just putting barriers in your way that won't help you and won't help you obtain the things on your list. So to my story about my, I could say I obtained it. I could say it kind of came in about a weird way. You could say it came about in happenstance, but it's quite a strange process, at least in my experience, that I'm grateful for, and it's hard to talk about how interesting it came about. But the number one thing on 99% of these lists was and I still don't want to talk about it because it didn't quite come about the way I want, so I do not want to fully share what that thing is. But it has to do with an automobile, and that's all I'll say. What happened was I was going to work out with a buddy of mine, and we were at his apartment, leaving his apartment, and while we were leaving, he told me that he's like, "Oh, there's a sweet ride outside." And I was of a particular car brand that he knew I liked. I was like, "Oh, really?" So we walk out to the parking lot. I didn't see it at first. I kind of looked around, and I was like, "Where's it at?" And he pointed right in front of me, and there was specifically the car make, car model, and the car year that I have been putting on my list. Dude, this is what I have been thinking about. This is the car I've been visualizing through certain other techniques. But for the most part, this is the car that I've had on my list. And while we were looking at it, the owner came out and he stated, he came out, he talked to me, he's like, "Hey man, what's going on?" I turned around, I said, "Hey, yeah, how's it going? Just checking out your ride." He's like, "Dude, yeah, I just got it. It had been a couple days." And in further conversation about the car, he talked about how he'd followed me on Instagram. I thought that was pretty cool. And that he'd just hit him up and I'd be able to drive the car whenever I wanted. A couple weeks later, now this was maybe 2 or 3 weekends ago, I reached out to this person to drive the said car, and there it was, and I got to drive it, just as I visualized it, just as I had on my list, and it was quite amazing. One thing that was specific, and I've had some of you guys ask me, how specific and what exactly do I say on the list? Do you say like I have, I will? Those are things that I have not done on my list. I just have the lists, just the items on my list, which was interesting because the way this came about was I didn't talk about owning, I didn't talk about having, I just had the car on my list, and that car came about, and I got to drive the car. Was I fulfilled with that? Is that constitute enough to cross it off my list? I haven't decided that. We'll see how future lists come, but it's just great that the thing on top of my list has indeed come about in mysterious ways that I know not of. Now, those who doubt this process and they say, "Well, since I was thinking about the car all the time, I was just looking for that specific car. There was other nice cars in the parking lot." And I would say, yes, that is true. There are a couple nice cars I like, but this one takes the cake because it was so specific. It was the color, it was the year, it was obviously the make. It wasn't a yellow 2009. It wasn't a red 2005. It wasn't a black 2008. You know, I can go on many examples. It was the specific make, it was a specific year, it was a specific color that was on my list, and I got to drive it. And so you could say that, you know, perhaps I'm fulfilled with that. Perhaps I'm actually wanting to own it. I haven't quite decided that, but it was quite amazing. So just the quick final recap. Make your list of things you truly want. Read the list daily, morning, noon, and night. 2, think about your list all the time. All the time. Think about it all the time. All the times that you can think of thinking of your list, just think of your list. Be obsessed with your list. And 3, don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone about your list. It's your list, not their list. So guys, like I said, this is a recap of It Works, the famous little book that makes your dreams come true by R.H.J. I have my lists. I hope you have your lists. And please feel free to share below about your, if you have a success story, please let me know. That'd be fantastic. Let other people know your story. Message me on my Facebook group, Instagram page, and of course, like, comment, subscribe below. And I will see you in the next video. Have a good one.